Everyone's talking about AI for business. What are the real concerns that enterprises are facing?
Great question, Rebecca. And with the productivity paradox that many have heard about, and it's interesting to note that, famously, Boston Consulting Group came out with the first major statistic that people still quote today, which is already debunked by about 12 months, was that 95% of AI projects return no ROI at all. And so now with 72% of firms now measuring ROI for AI and seeing some positive returns, the challenge isn't the belief in it anymore. It's the complexity and how do we get to valuable use cases? How do we deploy a breadth of use cases? And against that, there's a variety of business impacts that they're trying to really deal with. One is the implementation lag. In the past, many of the AI projects, if you think about the Coheres and Palantirs of the world, the implementation lag is months, maybe years to implement a massive customized LLM. Well, that's changed, and so how does that implementation lag affect the business impact here? How do you measure ROI on an AI deployed project or tool? And the measurement challenge could be from if we have the same people and they can do more, well, how much more can they actually do? And how do you measure that until you actually either grow as a business or you take a swag at what that number might be? You also see shifting workloads. And so people moving their workload from document heavy work to now the thinking heavy work. And so it's funny to note that even for us, we've seen our consultants go from having to be more rote and process and procedurally oriented to now going back to almost like liberal education, thinking creatively and being able to think strategically, so because the AI can do a lot of the heavy lifting on the rote and procedural work. Of course, what happens for everybody, as soon as they see some value, they get excited, and then they hit their own wall, which is that incomplete process redesign. They really don't know how to redesign their process. It feels like the landscape and capabilities shift every day. How do you redesign a process that's got a moving target? And of course, you have the human element, like it or not, which is early stage adoption issues. If you give people a great tool, we've seen it already in just our 6 months of beta. You give them a great tool, and the first question is like, "What do I do with this thing?" Instead of thinking about their hardest problem, saying, "Can I do that with this thing?" And so that becomes a real game changer for the human adoption and change management. The change management is less about conforming to the new procedure, and it's more about being creative in their thinking and applying that and having someone help them create the procedure with AI out of it. And then lastly, I think there's a lot of emphasis over on automation rather than upskilling. The AI can automate things, yes, absolutely. And there's a lot of value in the automation, but the value in the automation existed more than 10 years ago when you start hearing about RPA and you start hearing about machine automation, on and on. So the answer isn't actually more automation today. The answer is actually upskilling on what the AI should be able to tackle. And so those enterprise concerns are very real and significant when it comes to how to how should you and how can you adopt AI in the enterprise? Now, the primary bases of friction that you have to tackle are these three, and this is an excellent way to just really look at it very, very carefully. There's a human friction, an organizational friction, and a technical friction. The human friction is not just a resistance of habit and normal change management. It's actually because everybody suddenly becomes a little mini leader and they have to train their agent to do what they want it to. That's a very different skill for the vast majority of the workforce. And so it forces that when you remove that human friction, if you want to adopt generative AI and get ROI from your AI project, it really forces everybody to buy in that AI is the way to do this particular task or department or function of the business. And it ensures that the tools are used meaningfully, and that means everyone's inspecting the tool use all the time, and they live and breathe inside of that. Organizational friction is another big one, because if you talk about automating a part of the business, or you talk about even changing what a part of the business can do, there's a threat to the the business overall cohesion of process, never mind the people and the departments and the budgets and all the other stuff that comes along with it. And actually what we've seen is surprisingly not that people are worried about the impact of the department, although that is a big one. It's also that the AI can do so much, and it's easy for the AI to break things. And so governance and how you control the AI is actually becoming as center stage as the ROI of the AI. So we see people starting to trade off some ROI to get better control and governance in their organization. And then technical friction is a big one. A lot of people that were early adopters, they're using products that are wide open and they're really genericized for the public consumption, but they're not proper for the enterprise AI consumption. And because of that, the tool lacks adaptability, which is one of the major things that enterprises need. They need unique things done uniquely for them. And they have very complex flows. It's not simple. A connected biz app in a consumer world is like connect to my Expedia and my email. In an enterprise situation, man, that's a whole different discussion. And so it's not at all the same thing. So those three frictions, if you get past them, then you get to real ROI.